Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Campaign Middle East on the Record podcast, where we speak to leaders in the region and across the globe about the key trends shaping the brand marketing and advertising landscape. I'm Anup Uman, the editor of Campaign Middle East, and joining us on the show today is Wassim Derbi, the national head of marketing and communications at Hyundai and Genesis UAE. Wassim has over 20 years of experience in marketing and brand communication. He's the author of Retail Marketing Management and a fellow podcaster, from what I hear,
Yes.
has his own Derby Talks show. Wasim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anup. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is a great pleasure, and I hope this will be a very insightful conversation for the audience.
It definitely is going to be, and we're going to dive straight into it. Wasim, off late, the brand and marketing landscape here in the UAE, marketers seem to have dialed back to the very fundamentals, which is customer experience, customer acquisition. Let's boost customer retention. But in the midst of these, we've got some new tools that we get to play with. How have data driven strategies and advanced consumer segmentation really helped brands within the automotive marketing space?
Definitely. We always have to remember, as you said, we always have to go back to basics. Your objectives for any marketing strategy will always going to remain product and brand awareness. That's the first thing. No matter how established that brand is, you need to constantly continue your awareness. Second, then you move into the customer engagement, your customer experience, customer retention. And finally, all this has to eventually impact your return on investment. Marketing has to contribute to return on investment. Today, you have all these new tools. So, yes, it's data driven. Okay? The more you're focused on data, the more you analyze data, the more effective your initiatives are. Previously, if you look at maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I think we were sort of blinded when it comes to marketing activities. We were blindly trying to target a certain audience that we hope we're going to find through certain channels. But today, with all those analytics, with all these tools available, this has not just helped in terms of efficiency, um, retargeting strategies, but now we're able to talk to the right audience at the right time. So it's more of now it's purchase intent data. When you utilize that data and you analyze it properly, you're always going to be able to um, have a better conversion rate today. You're able to measure things we never had the opportunity for, which is measuring your performance in real time, being able to adjust strategies, adjust budgets also in real time, optimizing your campaigns, and the list goes on. So definitely, this has brought in a lot of benefit for the business, where we're able now to optimize budgets properly. We can now shift budgets towards initiatives that actually work versus initiatives that possibly have not driven that much, um, let's say, qualified leads into the business. But still, we always have to go back to basics, understand the key objectives of why we're doing this. Every business today has to invest in data-driven tools. Okay, it's a must for these tools to be present in every business today. Why? Because consumer behavior and expectations are always going to rapidly change. Okay, not just today, even decades before. They will always evolve depending on the inventions and innovations that happen within the industry. But yes, the last decade, these changes have been so rapid to a point that we as a business have to keep up with these type of changes. Consumers today they will demand personalization. They will demand interactions that are sort of relevant. They will demand VIP experience, and the list goes on. And door-to-door service and e-commerce and you name it. So as a business, we have to be always prepared to have these available tools, or else we're going to start losing customers moving
I
forward.
want to build on that a little bit, especially in terms of what customers are looking for. We are now coming towards the end of Q1 2025.
Yes.
How 3 months have flown by already. But compared to 2024 Q1, either quarter on quarter Q4 24 compared to now, or year on year Q1 24 compared to now, have you seen customer loyalty or dealership loyalty fluctuate between these periods. What are consumers really looking for, and how
Mm.
can automotive brands pivot to ensure that they are positioning themselves correctly to resonate with these consumers, based on their latest, like you said, preferences, behavioral patterns, purchase intent?
In terms of the retention rates or loyalty, um, some brands, possibly the last few years as well, they have maybe faced stagnation. Okay. At the end, we have to be very clear. What are customers looking for? No matter what brand, no matter what brand that customer is seeking, they're always going to look for something called total cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership for any customer today, it's the cost of services, the cost of fuel, the price of the car, insurance rates, maintenance, you name it. Okay, that is all in the mindset of any customer when they walk into any car dealership today. So it's not just the initial price. Sometimes we think it's just the initial price. No, the customers need to understand what will my journey look like if I purchase that car from you. So total cost of ownership today is extremely crucial, especially when it comes to retention. Yes, I might purchase that car initially with an aggressive price, but then you might have lost me 3 years down the journey because I was completely disappointed with the total cost of ownership. And,
So
okay,
every touch point matters, not just at the point of sale, but pre-sale and post-sale.
exactly. And we refer to something called 5 C's. These
Right.
are the five crucial elements of a customer experience. Any customer today would want the following. First, they'll always want customization. You have to constantly personalize the communication with your customers. They expect it to be personalized today. Convenience. Every customer today wants convenience, and all the businesses, all these innovative tools that you see in the market, they're all trying to win customers with convenience. We all want the door-to-door service. Convenience is the number one element today. Communication. Communicate with me effectively. Follow up with me. Make sure I'm always aware of these regular updates on my orders or my related issues. Definitely, also when it comes to care as well. All the customers need to feel valued. Okay, so always show a sense of care as well. And most important, stay consistent.
Mm,
I might have had the memorable handover experience. Okay, make sure that sort of memorable experience continues throughout my journey. Okay, and these are all factors. If we really pay attention to them very well, your loyalty and retention rates will always going to be very high. Okay, and these are few reasons on or few factors why customers eventually choose to shift to another brand, because they were completely unsatisfied with how the journey and these touch points were eventually fulfilled. So, as marketeers, we need to always remember that these customers are always looking for that experience. We're here to sell an experience, not just the product. The product, even if you have the most demanded product in the market, we've heard of so many stories of customers shifting away from brands simply because you did not meet these five factors. You did not pay attention to these customers. And eventually, they chose to purchase another brand where they felt the experience is possibly up to their expectations or standards.
I definitely resonate with a lot of those five, especially customization, care, convenience, and like you said, most importantly, consistency. Because so often you have a couple of great experiences, and the problem with great experiences is that your expectations go really high.
Yes.
And then when that consistency is lacking through that journey, it could be the care when it comes to maintaining the car. When you give it in for servicing, the touch points are not there, or you don't have somebody proactively checking in with you to say that your car is due for servicing, and then you overshoot it, and then your coolant level drops, and it spirals into things that you start having a negative impact or understanding of that brand. And it's very interesting that you should say consistency, because I feel like this is almost a life podcast. This is consistency we require in all aspects of life, not just in marketing. But I'll come back to marketing strategies. We've seen marketers, especially within the automotive space, target specific consumer profiles. We've seen different marketing strategies right from the olden day SMS marketing that we used to receive, communications on, to people actually paying attention to how consumers are reacting on social media, whether it's to a product launch, whether it's to a product update, whether it's to a new marketing campaign around, say, for example, Ramadan that's coming up, to Google SERP rankings that have suddenly become so much more important. According to you, what marketing strategies should marketers put front and center, prioritize in 2025?
The priority, whether it's for 2025 or beyond, definitely the priorities, some priorities will remain the same, by the way, okay, which I'll go back to, again, going back to basics. Um, that product brand awareness is also very crucial, and I'll explain why. Because no matter how established you are, we have to always make sure that you are still investing towards sponsorship, corporate social responsibility, sustainability. Do always remind the customers of the values, okay, of the identity of that brand, even if it's been established for hundreds of years. That's where sometimes some brands go wrong. They become more focused on the product and less focused on the brand. So keep that in mind. That awareness needs to stay consistent.
People need
Yeah,
to be proud that they are associated with a brand and
exactly.
the brand values, and especially in a region such as this where things are so volatile, geopolitical issues are coming up, there is a need for us to really resonate not just emotionally with consumers, but to really understand that the brands are with you, we stand by you. These values aren't new because of what's happening, but we've had this for hundreds of years, and reiterate that to say that we stand with you on those values.
Exactly, and make sure that you, especially when it comes to corporate social responsibility, make sure you have a vision. Don't just pick and choose certain initiatives because they are just
Trending at the moment.
exactly. It has to resonate with the brand, has to resonate with the audience. Second priority is always data. Okay, gone are the days whereby you're gonna have sit down in meetings and just put certain opinions, and based on these opinions, you eventually make these decisions to run your initiatives. There's so much data today. If you analyze it and use it properly, you're always going to be very effective.
Have you felt that in your day to day, where your intuition and instinct says something, but the data actually shows something else, and it's an eye opener?
Absolutely. See, when you sit down together, whether with your marketing team or your sales team, we all live, we all become marketeers.
Yeah.
You know, and marketing is very subjective. And yes, there has been times where even I was wrong. When we all have been there. When we say, no, let's avoid Facebook. Who's on Facebook today?
Mm.
You know, yeah, that's your opinion, or is that driven by some sort of analysis you've read somewhere?
Mm.
And this is where sometimes we go wrong, you know, and we do make these assumptions, and based on these assumptions, we take these wrong decisions because I personally felt that Facebook is no longer the right platform, you know,
But the
or
data very clearly shows otherwise.
exactly. Or, for example, customers no longer utilize this type of service. Customers no longer, for example, visit these certain locations. Utilizing data is two ways. First of all, you need to have you need to invest in your tools and softwares. At the same time, work with the right agents. There are multiple agencies here in UAE that can give you all this amount of data and help you make the right decisions. So get them involved as a team from initiating your campaigns or product launches. Don't make decisions on your own just based on your own preferences or things. You know, you always get to. There's always these type of conversations. I've heard people say the following, you know, and it's possibly you've just heard it from a brother or a sister, and you quickly assume that this is what
We
the
get
market is.
into echo chambers where we feel
Exactly.
that, oh, I've heard it from three people, it should be the truth for 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000, when it's actually the data shows something completely different. Yeah.
And again, thanks to all this advanced tools that we see today, it's very, very impossible to make sort of these wrong decisions based on your opinions. Yes, there's A and B testing. We're always going to have that. But again, you utilize the right agencies, brief them properly, and let them do their job when it comes to operating your campaign or your product launch activity. So once you you're building your awareness, you're utilizing data, then always remember that you have to be customer centric. Your approach always has to be customer centric. And this is a message to possibly every marketeer. If you're not working in an organization that is customer centric and sees marketing as an expense, my opinion, look for another job. Unfortunately, there are some companies that do exist today across the Middle East where leaders will always see marketing as an expense and not an investment. Marketing is an investment. So if they're not going to be empowered and they will not be given the right tools and trust to operate, then nothing will be effective. They will never meet their objectives. And they will actually spend more time trying to convince their leaders on why certain activities need to be initiated. So when it's customer centric, when that mindset is there, then trust me, the whole organization will always going to work together with the CRM and marketing team and everybody else to make sure that customers come first. And when customers come first, that means that there has to be a lot of investment in data-driven tools, the right activities, building brand awareness. Though this will all come as a must and has to be effectively conducted within the market.
I see common themes arising now. If you focus on brand, focus on product, focus on customer centricity, continuing to build on that. And you mentioned a couple of agencies. Some of the biggest questions coming in from agencies are if we have genuine budget set aside for marketing and we're investing in brand product and customer centricity, whether it's in short-term performance or long-term brand building, where is the budget being allocated? What media types are the budgets being allocated to? There are marketers who feel, especially within the automotive sector, who feel that traditional media such as out-of-home linear television is still resilient. There are others saying that no, it's time to put a little more budget into newer forms like digital out-of-home or CTV that's come up. A couple of others are saying maybe it's the time to increase budgeting towards pure digital plays, programmatic, and the likes. What's your take on where you see either budgets going a little higher or lower within the media spend?
Every marketeer, their crucial element every day is budget. Yeah. And budget is a very essential element because, again, you can put down every strategy on the table for any leader. If you don't have the right sufficient budget for it, then really nothing can be really executed or conducted properly. Even digital today, people have the wrong perception that digital is just quite inexpensive. It is not true. Maybe that was 15 years ago. Today, to grow on digital and to reach the right audience that resonates with your brand, it will cost you.
Investments,
In terms of dealing with agencies, we always have to deal backwards. Get the agency on board as a team. So if you plan to introduce a new product, always make sure you understand the end result. Okay? Don't brief the agency with a budget. Brief them with the end result. For example, let's say we plan to launch a new model in the market in a certain segment. So the end result would be the first quarter we need to, let's say, deliver X number of units in the market. That X units needs to be discussed with your team and with the agency, and you go backwards. So in order to reach that X number of units, I need to calculate something called your monthly rate to anticipate and predict how many leads you need to generate in order to deliver these units. So let the agency then initially come back to you with a budget and with a plan that will eventually meet that target or that goal. But in terms of shifting budgets, and that's where the agency comes in, it's always going to be a 360 approach. Okay, I'm still not a believer of whereby you need to always shift your budget towards digital and not out of home. It all depends on really the model and the audience you're trying to reach. So first, define target audience. Who are we trying to reach here? All these channels are effective. Trust me, there is no channel that's not effective. Yes, digital. Definitely the one of the biggest benefits of digital is you're able to capture data real time, being optimized data, and measure efficiently. However, out of home, especially on roads like Sheikh Zayed Road in Dubai, it is effective when it comes to, again, building awareness, mindset. Sheikh Zayed is a landmark. Some brands are actually putting up their billboards or because they want to associate with that landmark. TV. A lot of automotive brands are sponsoring programs that associate that resonate with that audience. That is not wrong. So yes, sponsorship on TV is becoming something that a lot of automotive brands are using. And I don't want to mention examples, but one of the major challenges is NBC.
Right.
They have attracted many automotive sponsors to their programs. Radio, cinema. There's always an audience somewhere. Okay. Yes, people when they drive, either they're listening to radio or or podcast. Okay, but that doesn't mean that nobody's listening to radio anymore. It's not. It's not true. Generations change. Okay, I know we can talk about generation Alpha, generation Z, whatever generation you want to have. But depending on the model, you have to have a. In my opinion, there has to be a marketing strategy per model per segment. So if that model is talking to a generation Alpha segment or generation Z segment, yes, your whole strategy will change. Okay. But that doesn't mean you're going to ignore the rest of these traditional channels.
So at the moment,
Traditional media will continue to exist.
so at the moment, we're still looking at omni-channel integrated full 360 campaigns, but where and how much will be dependent on the key audience, the message, the narrative at that specific point of time, depending on the launch, depending on the campaign that you're running.
And you rightly said at the beginning that out of home is still resilient. I still remember even 15 years ago, the rates have never dropped. You know,
Okay.
although there's plenty of options on the road on major cities in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, still, it's not easy to negotiate these rates.
So true. Before we conclude, there is one final element I think that we should pick on is social media content creators. I mean, before we started this conversation, we had this brief laugh about content is king, or given the gender neutrality of that phrase, content is queen as well. But it's important to note that we've seen within social media a rise of local influencers, local content creators, a lot of local gamers coming to fruition within the social media space. Automotive, like you said, has largely been about brand and product until now. Do you see brand partnerships or greater involvement of content creators within automotive marketing in the near future?
Not just in the near future. And content creators or influencers, it's essential to be part of every marketing strategy today. They are another channel that is quite effective. All these content creators have their own fan base, and at the same time, they're able to reach out to a certain audience that we might not that we might struggle to possibly ever reach that audience. And these fans or followers, they usually, I don't know, let's say trust. Okay, there is a lot of trust with these content creators. So if you collaborate with that content creator, that definitely just tells that audience that that content creator prefers to drive that certain vehicle. So yes, we do work a lot with, we collaborate with a lot of content creators in terms of test drives, attending events. It is, and even the word, they're now considered to be as part of your media invitation list. Previously, your media invitation list was usually publications, but today, they are a set of list. You have to set your list of guests together with the usual publications. But now, influencers, it's crucial for them to attend.
It's almost like they have audiences as large as the publications themselves.
Exactly, and they even have larger audiences that even much bigger than even well-established automotive brands. You know. And their level of engagement is extremely high. And all of us on social media, we're looking for something authentic. And authentic, you really have to follow an individual. That's why you find people following brands, but the engagement is usually much higher when it comes to an individual. So content creators, definitely part of the marketing strategy. But the good thing is, I think it's becoming a bit saturated. There are now, because it's just easy entry today. It is not easy to sustain it, I believe. It's very easy to start with just building content, but to grow to the level of becoming a celebrity or influencer, I think that takes time, and now takes
Investment as well.
substantial investment, of course. But we as automotive brands or any other brand now, when we work with influencers, we have reached a time where we can now negotiate, and But I feel here in the industry there are no set rate cards for that.
Mm.
You know, I think each influencer decides what sort of budget or what sort of cost will be behind the value they give. You know, they charge you per story, per post, if it's a reel, if it's a collaboration, and there's a set menu for that today. You know, but I think they deserve it. They've worked so much on their content, and their audience is quite engaging. So why not? So definitely that is there. When it comes to gaming industry, I mean, come on, we're looking at investments that I've never possibly thought possible in any industry. You're talking about Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the summit in 2023. They've announced they will spend $38 billion on just the gaming industry, and that's thanks to their uh, um, uh, type of infrastructure they have and their youthful population. Even the recent game, Grand Theft Auto 6, I don't know if you heard, but they're putting $1.6 billion behind the production. So if that's the amount of money you want to invest in such on a game production, so imagine the amount of earnings they're expecting. So automotive brands, at the end, we have to associate with what is right for the brand. Yes, there are multiple content creators. There are multiple channels out there. There's the gaming industry. There is golf, whatever your sports. It all again goes back to your objectives and what type of audience you're trying to reach for that certain model. Okay, so if that audience, we're talking about a generation and a young affluent generation, yes, definitely the gaming industry would be something to associate with for that car if that really resonates. If you're talking about luxury brands, you want to talk about a luxury experience, then there are certain events and activities that you can associate with to connect with that type of audience. Even influencers. There are certain influencers today that would only talk luxury. There are certain influencers that will talk mass. So, and I think this is all very beneficial for us as marketeers because these channels we never had before. You know, again, going back to just 15 years ago, it was very traditional. You know, every marketing media plan for any automotive marketeer in any industry looked exactly the same. It's a few TV spots, radio spots, out of home.
And then you're done, yeah.
So, but budgets, yes, have shifted a lot into digital. Okay, because it is the amount of data you can capture for retargeting purposes, the amount of the effective measuring tools that you can have today. This is all very crucial because we all as marketeers, going back to the our leaders, at the end, sometimes we continue to struggle to show our marketing return on investment. Thanks to digital, this is
It's
all
become
now
a
very
lot more
possible.
transparent.
Exactly.
You've been doing this for 20 years now. Do you see yourself doing it for another 20? Are you as excited about marketing, automotive marketing, as you were when you joined? And before we conclude, any parting message to our listeners, both marketers and agencies alike?
Definitely always very excited. Yes, it's been almost 20 years. Automotive brand is also evolving, and I think you've seen the evolvement in electric cars, hybrid cars, and many other aspects that we are seeing in the market. Um, Marketing alone is a field that is quite broad, and I think it will continue to evolve. It's becoming challenging, by the way. It is not as simple as before. You have to really, again, build. You have to work so much on data, and when you work on data and analysis, as much as you believe that this will all drive the right effective results, but still making the right decisions for the brand in terms of investment, it's still going to always be a challenge, but it's still I believe it's still interesting, and it puts a lot of excitement behind all of us. So I believe I'll continue in the automotive field. I love to see the growth in automotive as we see it today. And my message to all marketeers, I go back and say, um, depending on your organization, if you're someone that you want to really build out of box initiatives, you want to have full empowerment, you want to reach beyond your limits, it's the organization that you work for. It's the agency that you work for. If they're not willing to empower you, if they're going to always see you as an expense, unfortunately, you'll find yourself just another
Cog in the wheel. Yeah.
Exactly, and you won't be able to achieve any of these goals or results. And again, marketers are all driven by out-of-box initiatives. We want to. If you're aiming to receive awards for your activities, then definitely you need to be empowered. So empowerment, customer centricity, data. It's all about data. The more you analyze your data, the better you're going to be able to achieve better results in the future for your business.
Perfect. Well, you heard it here first on Campaign Middle East on the Record podcast. Wassim, thank you for joining us on the show, and thank you for sharing this insight into product, brand, customer centricity, data, and empowering creativity as well as decision making and investment into marketing. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us on the show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe below, and look forward to seeing you in more such discussions with leaders in the industry. That's all for now, and until next time, goodbye.